The clock ticked louder than usual that night. It was an eerie sound, each second hammering against the walls of Ethan's small, dimly lit apartment. A storm raged outside, shaking the windows with an almost supernatural fury. Lightning flashed, illuminating the peeling wallpaper and the scattered papers on his desk. Ethan sat hunched over, lost in a world of worries, regrets, and crushing exhaustion. Life had been battering him from all sides, betrayal, loss, failure. And now he found himself at the edge of something he couldn't quite understand. His phone buzzed violently on the desk. Startled, Ethan snatched it up. A notification blinked on the screen. 45 minutes left. Archangel Michael says, "I order you to open this right now." He frowned. Spam? Another clickbait message? He almost tossed the phone aside. But something about it rooted him to the spot. A chilling feeling, like invisible fingers tightening around his chest, made him hesitate. Against his better judgment, he tapped the notification. Immediately, the screen went black. Then, in stark white letters, another message appeared. "You are on a path to H. This is your final warning. Time is running out." The blood drained from Ethan's face. He knew what H meant. It wasn't just some vague threat. It was hell. And deep down, in the hidden corners of his mind where he never dared venture, he knew he had been spiraling toward it for a long time. Choices made in anger, opportunities squandered in bitterness, hearts broken because of pride. A countdown appeared, 44:59, 44:58, 44:57. His heart pounded against his ribs like a wild drum. He glanced around the room, suddenly feeling watched. Every shadow seemed to creep closer. Every whisper wind sounded like a voice calling his name. He shook his head violently, trying to dismiss the fear clawing at his sanity. It must be a prank, a virus, some cruel joke. Yet, a part of him knew this was real. The lights flickered. A shadow moved across the far wall, though no one else was there. The storm outside roared louder, almost as if it were answering some ancient summons. "Stop it," Ethan muttered to himself. "Get a grip." But then he heard it, a voice, deep and commanding, resonating from somewhere inside the room, yet nowhere at all. "You have 45 minutes to change your path. I am Michael. Listen carefully or perish." Terror seized Ethan's spine, but strangely, a thread of hope wove itself into the fear. Michael, the Archangel, warrior of light, defender against darkness. If he was reaching out, maybe all wasn't lost. Maybe there was still time. Ethan stumbled to his feet. "What do you want from me?" he whispered into the empty room. Another flash of lightning revealed a figure, tall, armored in shimmering gold, wings like woven starlight arching from his back. The figure's eyes burned with a fierce kindness, a justice that left no room for excuses. Michael pointed a sword that gleamed brighter than the storm. "Confess. Repent. Act. Your salvation hangs by a thread, and the blade is already rising." Ethan fell to his knees. Memories assaulted him all at once. Lies he told, people he used, dreams he abandoned, the love he threw away because of his stubbornness. Tears sprang to his eyes unbidden. He had been so arrogant, so sure the world owed him something. And now he faced judgment, not from men but from heaven itself. "I don't know where to start," he choked out. The clock on his phone beeped. 40:00 remaining. Michael's voice softened, but lost none of its power. "Start with truth. Speak it aloud. You cannot defeat the darkness you deny." Shaking, Ethan forced the words from his dry throat. "I have hated. I have envied. I have wasted gifts given to me. I have broken trust. I have blamed everyone but myself." Each confession felt like a blade drawn from his flesh, but strangely, each admission lightened the oppressive air in the room. The shadows recoiled. The clock continued to tick, relentless. 38:12. Michael nodded. "Now act. There are 3 steps you must take before your time runs out. Complete them, and you shall be redeemed. Fail, and you shall fall." Ethan wiped his face, his hands trembling. "Tell me," he whispered. The angel extended a glowing scroll. Ethan grabbed it, and words burned into his mind. 1. Forgive the unforgiven. 2. Restore what you destroyed. 3. Choose the light over your pride. It seemed impossible. How could he forgive those who had hurt him so deeply? How could he fix the things he had shattered? You have no choice, Michael said, reading the torment in Ethan's face. You always had the power to choose. You just preferred to wallow in your wounds. Another flash. Another rumble of thunder. Ethan's resolve hardened. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe he had finally lost his mind. But if there was even a sliver of truth in this, he couldn't waste it. He wouldn't. Not this time. The phone buzzed again. 34:55. Time was bleeding away. Ethan grabbed his coat and stumbled out into the storm. The night swallowed him whole. Rain poured in heavy sheets, drenching him within seconds, but he barely felt it. His mind raced. Who to forgive first? Who to reach out to? Every decision mattered now. Every second mattered. He found himself standing before an old, crumbling house. His mother's house. The woman he hadn't spoken to in years because of a stupid, prideful fight. He had blamed her for everything, his failures, his pain, even his own bad choices. And yet, she had only ever tried to guide him, even when he rebelled at every turn. Lightning flashed, illuminating the wilted garden, the broken gate. Ethan swallowed the lump rising in his throat and stepped forward. His knock was hesitant, almost childlike. For a moment, there was no answer. Then the door creaked open. There she stood, smaller than he remembered, older, frilier, but her eyes, though tired, still held the same unconditional love he had once taken for granted. "Ethan," she said, her voice barely a whisper over the rain. The words rushed out of him. "Mom, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I've been wrong for so long. I miss you. I need you. Please forgive me." Tears filled her eyes, and she opened her arms without hesitation. As she embraced him, warmth flooded Ethan's soul, pushing back the gnawing cold that had lived in him for so long. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a magic fix. But it was a beginning. The clock ticked. 29:01. Next, the second step, restore what you destroyed. Ethan's heart clenched. There was someone else he needed to see. The girl he had loved. The one he had left behind when life got too heavy. Maria. He had pushed her away, blaming her for not understanding his pain, when all she had ever done was offer him her heart. He raced through the rain, lungs burning, until he reached a little bookstore where she still worked. It was late, but the light inside was still on. She always stayed late, especially during storms. The bell chimed as he entered. She looked up from behind the counter, her face guarded. For a moment, he couldn't speak. He just stood there, dripping, heart pounding, soul trembling. "Ethan," she said cautiously. I hurt you," he said finally. His voice cracked. "I left when I should have fought. I tore down what you built with love. I can't undo it. But if there's anything left, anything at all, I want to rebuild it." Silence stretched between them. The storm raged on outside. Finally, Maria's face softened. She stood up, walked around the counter, and looked him in the eyes. "You broke me," she said simply. "But maybe broken things can be made beautiful again." She took his hand. The clock ticked. 22:44. The final step, choose the light over pride. This was the hardest. The battle wasn't with others now. It was with himself, with the bitterness, the anger, the self-hatred that had made him so blind for so long. Back in his apartment, Ethan sank to his knees once more. The storm outside seemed to fade into a soft hum. He closed his eyes. "I surrender," he whispered. "Not because I'm weak, but because I want to be strong. Strong enough to forgive myself. Strong enough to be who I was meant to be." The clock beeped. 1,800 hours remaining. Michael's voice filled the room once more, calm and proud. "You have chosen well, but your journey is not yet complete." Another flash of light. Ethan opened his eyes, and what he saw next would change everything he thought he knew about the battle for his soul. Maybe redemption wasn't just for the perfect. Maybe it was for the broken too. Maybe it was for people like him. The clock struck 11:30 p.m. 15 minutes left. The air grew heavier. The walls of the room seemed to pulse with strange life, breathing in and out with each tick of the clock. Elijah rose shakily to his feet, cradling the Bible in one hand and the feather in the other. Archangel Michael watches. The voice reminded him, quieter now but insistent. He waits for your choice. Elijah's mind raced. What could he possibly do in 15 minutes that would matter? Could a lifetime of mistakes be erased so quickly? Could a heart so damaged be healed in the time it took the seconds to fall away? As he turned around, his eyes fell on his laptop lying open on the coffee table. The same laptop he had used for years to spread bitterness online, lashing out at strangers, mocking dreams he had once cherished, shutting out the world before it could hurt him again. The realization hit him like a fist to the gut. He had not only abandoned his own purpose, he had dragged others down with him. He had become the very darkness he once feared. The voice pressed urgently. Redemption is not about earning forgiveness. It is about choosing to change. Choose now. Without thinking, driven by something greater than himself, Elijah grabbed a laptop. His fingers trembled as he opened a blank page, the cursor blinking expectantly. He stared at it, heart hammering in his chest. What could he say? What could he do? Then it came to him, simple, honest, raw. He began to type. To anyone who ever read my anger and felt discouraged, I'm sorry. I lost my way. I forgot how to believe. I let pain turn me bitter. But you don't have to follow the same path. There is still light for us. There is still hope. There is still a way back. His fingers flew over the keyboard now, a dam bursting open inside his soul. He wrote about forgiveness, about the power of hope even in the darkest hour, about how bitterness was a cage that only the prisoner had the key to unlock, about how choosing love, choosing faith, even in brokenness, was the most powerful rebellion against the darkness. He hit post without rereading it. It didn't matter if it was perfect. It mattered that it was real. The clock struck 11:40 p.m. 5 minutes left. Suddenly, the air shifted. The heavy oppression lifted, replaced by a strange stillness. The lights, which had dimmed to a weak glow, began to shine brighter, clearer. Elijah stood in the center of the room, heart pounding, tears staining his cheeks, feeling both terrified and strangely free. It is not over, the voice said. One last step remains. Before Elijah could respond, a sound filled the room, a low hum, like 1,000 whispered prayers rising at once. The feather in his hand began to glow, pulsing with a pure, golden light. His eyes widened as the figure of a man, tall and radiant, stepped forward from the very air itself. Archangel Michael. He was beautiful and terrifying all at once, with armor that shimmered like the morning sun and eyes that burned with both fury and mercy. In his right hand, he held a gleaming sword, not of metal, but of light itself. Elijah, Michael said, voice deep as thunder yet gentle as rain, you have been given a final test. You have faced your darkness. You have chosen light. But redemption requires not just words. It demands action. Elijah fell to his knees, unable to look directly at the angel. Fear and awe battled inside him. Rise, Michael commanded, and somehow Elijah found the strength to obey. The angel extended his hand. In his palm lay a small key, ancient and ornate, humming with quiet power. There is a door you must open, Michael said. The door to your own heart. If you have truly chosen the light, you will find the way. But if any darkness remains, the door will remain sealed, and your soul will be claimed by the abyss you created. The clock struck 11:43 p.m. 2 minutes left. Elijah clutched the key, feeling its warmth seep into his skin. He looked around wildly. No door had appeared. Was this a trick? A test? Panic clawed at his mind. Trust, Michael said simply. Elijah closed his eyes. He slowed his racing heart. He listened, not with his ears, but with a part of his soul that had almost forgotten how to feel. And then he sensed it, a faint presence, a thin line of golden light tracing itself along the far wall. A door not visible to the eye, but waiting to be believed in. Elijah stepped forward, lifted the key, and inserted it into the invisible lock. The door blazed into existence. Beyond it, A stairway spiraled upward into blinding light. "Go," Michael said, his voice now filled with fierce pride. Elijah hesitated for only a moment. Then he stepped through. The light enveloped him, washing away years of pain, fear, bitterness. He stumbled upward, each step burning and healing all at once. He felt the chains around his soul break. He heard the songs of angels, distant but growing louder, at the top of the staircase. He found himself standing not in heaven, but back in his own living room. And yet, everything had changed. The clock struck 11:45 p.m. Time had run out, but Elijah was still standing. He looked around. The room was brighter, cleaner, alive. The air smelled of something sweet and ancient, like springtime after a long winter. On his laptop, notifications flooded in. People responding to his post. Messages of hope. Messages of forgiveness. Messages from others who, like him, had been drowning in their own darkness, but found a lifeline through his words. Tears streamed down his face. He wasn't too late. He had been saved. And more importantly, he had helped save others. The voice of Archangel Michael echoed once more, softer now, full of gentle triumph. You were never meant for destruction, Elijah. You were meant to be a light in the darkness. Now go and never forget. The feather on his table shimmered once more before dissolving into sparkling dust that floated upward and vanished. The final line that appeared on his phone screen was not a warning, but a promise. Well done, good and faithful servant. Elijah smiled through his tears, feeling a peace he had never known. He had faced the final hour, and he had chosen life. And as he stood there, bathed in the soft light of redemption, he knew this was only the beginning. A second chance, a new dawn, a life lived not in fear of the darkness, but shining boldly against it. And somewhere beyond sight, beyond time, a great bell tolled, not a sound of endings, but a sound of new beginnings. A call to all those still trapped in their own darkness, whispering to them, it's not too late. Choose light, choose hope, choose life.